So in today's video, we are going to go back to our list that we started going through yesterday, and we are going to carry on. I think I've got 3 things on the list that I want to do today, or at least try and get 2 of them done, and then we'll see how long the third one it takes, because that one should take a bit longer. But these 3 things are, we need to go and update our spawner class, because at the moment whenever we complete a level and we need to spawn a new level into the scene, it just places it straight on top of our previous level, and we don't want that because we want only one level to be in the game at the time. So we need to go and destroy the previous level when we go and instantiate a new level. The next thing we need to do is we need to go and I want to go and update the panel that gets displayed when we complete a level to actually reflect which level we've just completed. So that shouldn't take too long. We'll just pull our current level integer number from our global script. And then depending on how long that takes, it shouldn't take too long to finish those 2. I want to go and start creating a starting point for each level. So we're going to create a starting prefab point, and then we'll just place them in our levels where we want the cube to be instantiated, or rather moved to, because I think we'll keep the cube in the scene, and then when we go and instantiate a new level, we'll just go and move the cube into that current starting point, dependent on where it is in each level. So let's go and try and begin. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and update our spawning class, but before we do that, let's just play the game quick and see if everything is still working the same as yesterday. So here is our first level. We disabled our movement, but you can easily just go and tick that box and then your camera starts moving again. But we don't want that, because in development we just want it to be stationary so we can play the game. So what we have here is we have our first level, and then all you do is you move the cube down to the right and then back up. So we do have a little bit of an issue here. Whenever we just whenever we could actually just go and change the size of the colliding mesh thing. We'll try that now, but look here, whenever we go and just collide with the side of it, it comes and brings up this our panel, our end of level complete panel, which you don't want. We only want it to pop up when we go and sit on top of it. So what I'm going to do now quickly, I'm just going to go and see if we can actually change that. So I'm going to open up our first level prefab, and then actually it's going to be on our endpoint trigger. So we'll update it on this one just so that we can we don't have to do it in all of them. So I'm just going to make it smaller so you can barely see it, because it's green on top of a very, very bright yellow slab, which I don't know why, but we'll leave it like that, and let's go and play the game quickly. And then we can see if it works. Let's just override those quickly and see what happens. So now that we've done that, we should, why don't we get our, why is this not, what did I just do? Okay, we'll fix that later, but let's go all the way to our endpoint and see. Okay, so it doesn't trigger it there, but if we go on top of it, okay, so that works for now. We'll leave it like that. I figured that would be the problem, but I'm going to delete these 2 here just because we don't want them to be in the scene. We don't need them to be in the scene anymore. So let's go play the game and see. So we need to figure out why this has been set to false. So it's not active. But anyway, we'll figure that out just now. So now let's go and do some stuff in our level manager to actually get to be able to destroy the previous level when we go and load in a new one. And in the previous episode, I did say that this is the way that we're going to do it now is not the way that I want to do it, but it's fine for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and find our object using its name. So we need to keep track of the name somehow, which we'll do. We'll create a variable for that. But this is not the best way to do it, so this is just a temporary solution. So we'll update it later on in the game when things get more serious and we want to polish the game off. But for now, let's go and say what we need to do first is we need to create a new transform. So this is going to be a private. We're not going to use serialized field because we don't need it to be in the inspector. So we'll say private new transform. This is going to be our current level transform. We'll say, we don't need to say transform, but because we've got our current level, we're getting our current level from our global script, we don't want to be confused. So we'll do that current level transform. And then what we want to do is, instead of just instantiating this over here, we want to go and set this current level transform to be equal to this line of code. So that should, now that we've done that, if we go and play the game, we should see that it still instantiates into the scene, and then it also keeps track of which level's in the game. So before we do anything else, I'm just going to go here underneath this instantiate level line of code. I'm just going to go and say, what was I going to say? We need to go and set it to be active. So we can go and say current level transform dot set dot game object dot set active true. Hopefully that should make the level actually appear in the scene. So let's go press play, and now, okay, so that works. I don't know why we have to do that, but I don't know, we'll leave it like that. Okay, so now that we've got track of our actual level that's in the game, let's go and test it out and say print. This is going to be current level transform dot name. So this should print out whatever the name of our prefab is, and I think it's one clone. So there we go. Now we have access to our name of the current level that's in the scene, so we can use that to find this level and destroy it when we go and load in our new level. So we can get rid of that because we don't want that. That was just for testing. So now the first thing we want to do when we go and press our next level button is we want to go and destroy that previous level. So before we go and increase our current level count by 1 and instantiate our next level, we can go and, what are we going to do? We can go and destroy the previous level. So here we can go and say destroy. I think it's just destroy current level transform dot game. Oh no, we need to do this. What we need to do is we need to go and say, actually let's try that quickly. Let's go and say current level transform dot game object. I'm just going to do that and see if that works. I don't think that's going to work, because then when we go and press, okay, let's go complete the level quickly. Go up to the top and then press next. So okay, so it is still, it's working, but we still need to set it to be active. Okay, so what we need to do, we'll just copy this line of code over here, and then we'll paste it in and set that equal to true. But because we need to change this and say, or actually before we do that, we can go and say current level transform is equal to the next level. So we'll keep track of our current level and then our next level. We probably don't need to do that, but I'm just going to do it just in case. So we can save that, and then let's jump back into here and see if all of that works. So if we press play, our first level should appear, which it does. Let's go and finish this level. And then we can press next level. So our next one gets destroyed, and then our new level gets instantiated into the scene. But what we also need to do now is we need to go and disable or set this panel to be false so that we can't actually see it when our new level gets instantiated. So to do that, let's just go and do that quickly, and that I believe should be in our level, or is it in our UI manager? It's not in our level manager, it should be over here. Okay, so let's just go onto our button and see what are we calling. So on our button, we are calling the level manager dot next level method, or so we're calling this function over here. So what we need to do in here is go and set that to be false. So for now, I am just going to go and do this. We'll create a serialized field. It's going to be private. We'll make this a game object. This will be our level complete panel. And then all we want to do there is go, after we've set our next level into the game, let's go and set our level complete panel to false. So set active is going to be false, like that. So that should get rid of our our level complete panel. And then when we go and complete the level, the second level, we should get it back into the game. So let's go and complete this level and see if that works. So we've completed that. Now we press next, and then that doesn't work because we haven't dragged it in, of course. So that is going to be on our level manager, which is over here. And then let's just go and drag that into there. Nope, that's not what I wanted. We need to drag that into this one and save that, and then now we can play the game, and now hopefully it should work. So let's go down to the right and then back up. We should get our panel, and let's press next. Okay, so here is our next level, and you can see we still haven't figured out how to get our box or cube into the game, or into the maze rather, and that is what we are going to do right now. So let us go out of gameplay mode, and now we need to create a new prefab, but I'm going to do it in our actual game here first, and then we'll just drag it and drop it into our prefabs folder. So we have both of our, these are, oh, that's why, because they were both set to be, they both weren't ticked in this box, so that's why they are not set to active is equal to true. So I'm going to go and get rid of that, because that's, we don't really need that. Oh, what am I doing? We don't need those two lines of code. So if we play the game now, we should see that our levels do appear in the scene. And we don't need to use that set active equals to true panel or line of code anymore. Okay, so that's fine. That's working. That explains it. So we'll save that. And now let's go and work on that starting point for each level. So I'm going to drag in our first level rather, just for references. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to zoom in here somehow. So we want our starting point for our first level to be in this corner over here. So I'm going to drag this in here, our endpoint trigger, and we are going to update it. So here's our first one. And I'm just going to drag this, actually we'll leave it here for now. So let's go and change the name to our starting point. Let's go and change it to level starting point, and then we will drag that into here, create an original one, and then I'm going to create another material for it just to change the color because I don't like that yellow. So where's create material, and then we will make this a greenish green color, assuming that that's probably not going to work. Why does it not work on this game object? That's very weird. Maybe it's because, oh, that's why. Because it's too flat. That makes sense. Okay, I guess all of our starting points and our endpoint triggers are going to have to be yellow for now. So we'll delete that because it makes no difference if we have it. Actually, we'll leave it missing if that works. We'll see if now. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but we'll want it to be any color other than yellow. Okay, so this is where our endpoint trigger is, and we are going to want to set this to -8. No, that's probably wrong. And it's going to be 3 -8. All right. Okay, so we're going to need to do some thinking here. So let's go reset this quick. Reset that. Okay, so that puts it in the correct place. And then this, we will copy our position of our endpoint trigger and paste it onto our new starting point, because the only thing that we need to change is the the x value. So this will have to be, it's just going to be the negative of what it was. So 5 is going to go to -5, and that should paste it directly underneath our, okay, so that's not going to work because we need to get rid of the script endpoint trigger because it's no longer an endpoint trigger. So we will remove that off of it, and then let's play the game and see if it's there. So once we move our cube out of the way, it should be there. Okay, so it is. Okay, so now that we've got, well, we've kind of recycled our endpoint trigger, and now we're going to create it into a starting point. So we'll drag that onto here, and what am I doing? So where is our prefabs? Okay, so we can go and update this, apply all of that, because that's how we want it to work. And then we can go and delete it because we have it in our prefabs folder, which is over here. And then in our, let's go and delete that as well. So let's open up our first level. Now we need to go and place it in the correct place because we did it wrong. We can't add it in the scene. So let's, on our first level, we have our endpoint trigger, which is at that position. So I'm going to copy that again. And I'm going to drag in our level starting position, and I'm going to paste it in here. And then we will just change our 5 to -5. So that should push it to the left, which it does. So now let's go and play the game and see what happens. Okay, so we still have it in the exact same place that we wanted, which is good. Now we need to go and get it to work. But before we do that, let's go and add it to our second level. So we want it to be somewhere over here. So we want it to be over there somewhere. So we need to go and put this at -5, I think, and it's going to be at 0. Nope. This is going to be there. So I think that's going to be 3. And then y is going to be -0.5, I think. Could be wrong, but let's try and see. I think that's okay. If not, we'll have to change it later on, but that should be fine for now. So I think that's fine. Okay, so now we need to go and figure out how we are going to make this work, because when we go and at the moment it works for our first level because our cube is positioned in the correct place, and when our level gets spawned into the scene, it just spawns it into the right place. So that's fine, but when we load in our second level, it doesn't quite work. So let's go and see what we need to do. So in our scene here, we can select our cube, which is over there. So our cube is currently at 5, 0, and 2.5. And our level starting point is at the exact same thing, but the y value is at -0.5. So everything needs to be the same except for the y value. The y value needs to be set at 0. So I need to go write a script to reposition our our cube into the correct location. So let's see if we can reuse some scripts. So we have a cube script. The only thing that gets handled in here is the movement and the checking if it's next to the wall of the maze. I don't think we should do it in here because if we destroy the cube, then we can't reposition it because it's not going to be in the scene. When we go and load in a new scene, we do it in the level manager class, and that happens endpoint triggered, no, level complete, UI manager dot level complete. Where do we want to do this? Okay, so let's follow the order of which things happen. Okay, so when you go and collide with our endpoint trigger, we go and call UI manager dot level complete. Okay, so let's go into there. So that's here. So level complete, move count level complete label dot. So that updates the level, the panel, and then we go and set it to be active. And then when we press the next button, I believe this is the method that gets called, the next level method. So in here, this is probably where we want to go and reposition our cube. So to do that, let us go and we will have to go and find our start point before we do anything else, because we can't exactly drag it in, because whenever we load in a new scene, it's going to be different. Okay, so let's go do this. So here, what's the time? We've got 22. We'll make this video a bit longer. So here we've got, we'll create a serialized field. Actually, do we need to? No, we don't need to do that because we can't drag it in because it's always going to be different. So it's going to be just going to be a private. We'll make it a transform because we're going to use a position off of it. So transform. And this will be our starting point. Or we'll call it level starting point. Okay, so that is fine. We'll go and put that underneath here, just so that it looks better. And then when we go and create a new level, actually this might not work. Well, let's try it and see if it works. So what we're going to do is we want to go and say, we have to do it after our previous level is destroyed, otherwise it's going to be confused. So here we can go and say level, what is it called? Our level starting point is equal to game object dot find. So we're going to find it by name, and just for now we are just going to put in the actual name of it, which is level starting point. So let's try it, level starting point. Okay, and then we will say dot transform dot position, so we'll get the position straight off of it. And then what we'll do is, so now we've got our level starting point, we can go and move our cube to the correct place. So here we are going to want to also have a reference to our cube. So this we can go and say cube, and then what we can do is we can go and say cube dot position is going to be equal to our level starting point, or let's do this, new vector 3, because we only want to update the x and z axes. So here's going to be a level starting point dot x, and then dot position dot x, This is going to stay at 0, our y-axis, and then actually let's go and say cube dot transform dot position dot y, just so it stays at what it's at, and then this is going to be our level starting point dot position dot z. So let's try that, give that a go and see what happens. So I believe that's not going to work because, I mean, why would it work on the first time? So let's go and see. So here's our first level that's completed. Everything should work fine because let's just go and check something quickly. Do we have to drag anything in? No, we don't. Okay, so we'll complete the first level. So let's press next. So we don't have any reference here. Okay, so what is this? Line 28. Oh, we haven't found our cube. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. We'll go and say cube is going to be equal to find cube. And that should be it. So that should work. Hopefully that should work now. We've got the first attempt out the way. So now let's see if second attempt is working. So we'll go up there, finish the level, press next. Huh. Okay, so it kind of does work. We now have our cube in the correct location, do we? No, we do not. So let's see, cube is going to be 5, 0. Maybe this needs to be 2. Hold on. 2.5. Let's just see what's happening here. So if we go to our starting position, here is, what's our starting point? Is at 3. Okay. So let's see what we do. We set our cube at starting point dot position dot z. So let's open our second level and see where it's at. So it's at 3. So why didn't that update? Z. Let's go test that again. That's a bit weird. So the first level is working. Not that it's really doing much because it's already positioned in that place. Next level, we need to go to our actual game scene. So here it is, and it currently is in the wrong place. So our level starting point is situated at z equals 3, but our cube is at 2.5. So why is that? That's a bit weird. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and have to try and figure that out. It must just be something to do with this line over here. I've probably done something slightly wrong, but I'll figure it out. But anyway, we'll leave that episode here. The majority of it is actually done. We just need to go and figure out why it's not putting it at 3, because it should. But that's pretty much it for today. The next episode we will try and figure out how to fix this if I haven't figured it out, and then we'll also try and fix the positioning of our camera, because if you have a look here quickly, when we go and play the second level, you can see that at the moment our first level is positioned in the middle of the scene, but if we go and press next level, you can see that it might just be, actually no, it's not. The camera should really be over here somewhere. So that's in the middle. So that when we have our actual camera that's rotating, the scene or the actual maze just looks like it's rotating in the center of the scene rather than the actual camera moving around the game. So if that makes sense. So we'll do that in the next episode, probably on Monday. But that's it for today. So thank you for watching again. If you made this far, if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So goodbye.